This is now freewheeling. Yeah, but one can see a lot of twists in the road. In this series, I ride the Big Three to commemorate the extraordinary legacy of Thomas Bain, master road builder in South Africa. This is the spectacular Swartberg Pass, the challenging Baviaanskloof, and the beautiful Prince Alfred's Pass. It takes me on a journey of more than 2,200 kilometers from Cape Town all the way to Port Elizabeth and back. Thanks for joining me on this experience and to share the views. Good morning and welcome back to Vanner's View. I'm just departing here from Karoo Kaya, where I stayed last night. This is in the beautiful town of Prince Albert. So if you've not seen how I ended up in Prince Albert, please make sure to watch the previous video where I made the relatively long stretch from Cape Town to Prince Albert. Just open this gate. About what a day I have planned leaving here from Prince Albert this morning. It is just after 7, 5 minutes past 7, so it's a nice early start. So if you watched the previous video, you will know that I'm embarking on quite an extensive series of trips which I call riding the Big Three. And this refers to riding the Big Three passes, in my opinion, that the master road builder Thomas Bain has built. So today the first one of these will be ridden, and this is the Swartberg Pass. Now, I think the Swartberg Pass is in many ways regarded as his greatest work, and certainly, or probably one of the most challenging passes that he has built, combined with then probably also one of the most beautiful. But for now we are just riding through the town of Prince Albert. Now, Prince Albert is really the gem of the Karoo. I mean, it is such a beautiful town. Quite a lot of Victorian, Georgian, Cape Dutch architecture. So, surely always worth a visit. I always love coming to Prince Albert. But this series of trips is in many ways a trips of first, or a series of firsts for me. It's the first time that I'm riding this pass on a motorcycle, the first time that I'm going this far away from Cape Town, because the turning point for this series will be Port Elizabeth. So I will go all the distance. So if I speak about riding the Big Three, of course the Big Three passes that I will ride is now, the first is the Swartberg Pass, then the second one is actually a series of passes, but it is the Baviaanskloof. That's probably the longest road that Thomas Bain has built. And then the last one is probably the longest pass, and that is the Prince Alfred Pass from Uniondale to Knysna. Thanks for joining me on this trip. I hope you will enjoy what you will see today. I'm certainly looking forward to it very, very much. Let me just see if I can get some cash here. I will be heading into more remote areas now, and I'm not always sure that I will be able to pay by just tapping a card or just tapping my phone. Should be enough. I think what is nice about this little bag, of course, is that it's got this little compartment here at the bottom where one can You can stow away things, but also still make it quite easily accessible. Yeah, it's already quite hot this morning. I mean, it's just 7 o'clock and I can feel already I'm sweating a bit, so maybe if I can just get a bit of movement on the bike, I can get some air flowing, but I think it means that it will become very hot. Okay, so let's head in the direction of the Swartberg. That is where the adventure will begin today, but we can just enjoy the last few buildings here in Prince Albert. And before we exit Prince Albert, I just want to make a quick stop at quite a historic site. I just want to see if I can view it a little bit from the road. Ah, here it is. Indeed. Let's have a bit of a look. Oh, the water is flowing quite strongly here, but down there you should be able to see this old watermill. Oh, it is still a wooden wheel. Yeah, I wonder how old it is, because this watermill was built in 1850 and it was part of, well, the last of 7 of these watermills. And the first of those were built in 1842. These watermills were operated for 100 years. Quite a long time that it was in use. I just find it interesting. It just shows how far back the history here in Prince Albert goes. Okay, so this is the exit of Prince Albert on the southern side. And now we just have to go about 2 kilometers to turn onto the R328, which is the road that will take you to Oudtshoorn. But this is no ordinary road. This is the Swartberg Pass. There you can see how it opens up a bit to enter this series of mountain peaks. Most of today will be dirt riding. Yesterday it was only tar, and almost all of it was on the national N1 highway, so what a contrast to today. At last turn off from the tar road into that welcoming sight. I see there's a board that says the narrowest point is only 7 meters, so there will definitely be some twists and turns ahead. Yeah, I also introduced you to my new luggage system on the Honda CRF 300 Rally. Of course, this is the bike that I've done all my trips with, and I'm looking forward to do this series, of course, with this trusted companion of mine. But I've upgraded the luggage, so I'm using these Turkana products, which is now proper soft luggage pannier bags that goes onto my pannier racks, which should improve the balance of the bike a lot, because in the past I just stacked some backpacks on the back, which made the center of mass a bit high. So today will be a bit of a test how the bike performs on really rough roads. Yeah, so this Swartberg mountain in the past, well, probably today still poses quite a significant barrier between the coast and the Karoo. The coastal areas like Mossel Bay and George and so on is a bit cut off from the Great Karoo, and of course the Swartberg is also the mountain that divides the Great Karoo and the Klein Karoo. And yeah, it was quite a formidable barrier to cross. And in this stretch of the Swartberg there's basically 3 places where you can get through the mountain. So towards the east is Marinette, and Marinette is a poort that we will ride tomorrow. And then more towards the west is the Seweweekspoort, and you will recall in one of my previous series I did ride the Seweweekspoort. And those 2 poorts are of course following the river, and they don't have a significant summit to cross. And so it's all relatively low-lying roads. This is all good and well, but they are extremely, until today, prone to flooding. So if there's significant rain and the rivers come down quite heavily, the roads are damaged or it is simply flooded and you cannot use it. So in 1875, for example, just look at this, there were heavy rains and both the Swartberg and Marinette were closed for several weeks. Look how narrow it becomes here already. I think the 7 meters total width is already to be seen here. Yeah, so that happened in 1875, and that was before the Swartberg Pass existed, of course. And then the Cape government decided they need another pass, another road through these mountains, and they commissioned Thomas Bain, the master road builder, to come up with plans to build it. And in 1879 he did present plans to the government, and there were 4 options, and they chose the best one, and it was approved in 1880. Now I think the idea was from the beginning for Thomas Bain to build this pass, but he couldn't start building in 1880 because he was still busy with the Tsitsikamma road. So they actually did not assign the building of the pass to him then initially. So in 1881 it was assigned to a person called John Tassie, who started building it with 100 laborers, but that did not go well. After 13 months he progressed only 6 kilometers. Now whether that was due to not good planning or good workmanship, or maybe simply because it was so difficult, we don't know, but he was declared insolvent, so he was bankrupt by that time and he could not build it. So by 1883 Thomas Bain was available, and the government asked him to build this pass. In 1883 he started building it, between 200 and 300 laborers. Yeah, look at that, folds in the mountain. Eerste water, so this is probably the first crossing of the river, this pass. How spectacular. So this was the 17th pass or road that Thomas Bain built. So this was also his last. It is his crowning achievement. That I think there's no doubt. This pass is I think around 23 kilometers long, and its summit's quite high, around 1,585 meters or so. He successfully completed this pass. I mean, he applied all the techniques that he's learned, and that he's honed his skills on many other roads. Of course, his famous father is Andrew Bain, who also was a master road builder, and Thomas Bain learned a lot from him. And yeah, he did complete this pass, and then the decision was made by the Oudtshoorn and Prince Albert municipalities, or they had to decide what the pass should be called, and they eventually decided on just simply the Swartberg Pass, or today the Swartberg Pass. And it was inaugurated in 1888. And apparently at the summit of this pass, at the day of inauguration, there were 500 people gathered at the summit. So we are now just following the river. Interesting name, Malvadrai is this turn here. There's also a nature reserve, the Swartberg Pass Nature Reserve. But I think what makes this pass to me, or one of the picks of my big 3, is I think this is a pass that has it all. It's got beautiful roads along the valley with the river, it's got steep inclines, it's got very tight turns and incredible views. And I think then the cherry on the cake, of course, is that when you reach the summit, there's another road that goes down into the Gamkaskloof, and that is what we're also going to do. So once we reach the summit, I will make the turn to the Gamkaskloof for probably a very, very interesting detour on the Swartberg Pass. a dussie running across the road. Nice fat one. I'm not sure if you're able to see the GPS here in front, but that is what you want to see if you want roads of adventure. Look at all the hairpins, and that is also associated, of course, with steep inclines. But yeah, these folds in the mountains visible everywhere. I think it is a feature of the whole Swartberg range, because in the Swartberg you also see this, but it is really, really very prominent in the Swartberg Pass. There you can see the road going up. Yeah, the climbing is starting now. So this dry wall or dry stone building method was one of the methods that Thomas Bain has perfected. So you can see it's still intact today. Built from 1883 to 1888. So yeah, still very much used as originally built. So you can see this going across there at the top of the mountain, so it zigzags up here now. Maybe just another interesting fact about this pass when it was built. So he had the 200 to 300 laborers, and every day they slaughtered 16 sheep and 1 ox, so that the meals could be provided to the builders of this pass. I find that specific kind of statistics very interesting. Yeah. I just think it's fantastic that this pass is not tarred, because doing it on dirt road is just so nice. There one can see the road already far down below. Now this section must have been very tough to build. Yeah. The clouds are certainly coming in strongly over that side, so it looks very cloudy on the outer side of the Swartberg Pass. So we'll see what it looks like later today. I don't think I've seen any prediction of rain, so it may be just a bit cloudy. You can see it still climbs. There at the top there it crosses, so we are still quite a distance from the summit actually. So of course the Swartberg mountain range is what is keeping the rain clouds more to the south, and that is why the Klein Karoo is more lush than the Great Karoo. It just simply gives more rain. I always think of the Klein Karoo and the Great Karoo in the following way. I think the Klein Karoo always the part of the Karoo with the bigger plants, bigger bushes and shrubs and so on, whereas the Great Karoo has the small shrubs. So just shows that it gets less rain, it's more arid, but oh so beautiful. Oh. Yo, this is far down. Yo. Yeah, I made a stop now at Tierberg. I think this is, I'm not sure if this is quite the summit, but the Swartberg is quite spread out in this area, but we have climbed a lot. We are probably very close to the summit now, but this vantage point is simply spectacular. And there is not a breath of wind at this stage. So on this side I can see where I came from, the road twisting up, and it is clear, no clouds. On that side, that is the southern side of the Swartberg. The clouds are coming over, but then disappearing as it comes down. Simply beautiful. So from here I can also see the road that goes into Gamkaskloof. So Gamkaskloof now follows in a westerly direction. You ride on the top of the Swartberg mountain, then you go down into Gamkaskloof. So I can see the road from here. It's only about 1.8 kilometers from this stopping point, and we will be heading in the direction of Gamkaskloof. Now, that is not the road that Thomas Bain built. That came much later in the 1960s. For many, many years, that kloof and that area was completely isolated from the rest of the world, and you could only, reach it by foot or by donkey and so on. And that is why that area of Gamkaskloof has such a fascinating history, and I will talk more about it. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy this quietness and the spectacular views. Sure. So we're now soon going to turn in about 1.5 kilometers down Gamkaskloof. So as I said, I'm not quite sure exactly where the summit is, but when this pass was inaugurated in 1888, more than 500 people gathered here at the summit of the pass. And then in its centenary, 100 years later, in 1988, this whole pass was declared a provincial heritage site. I think it is just an appropriate honor to Thomas Bain and his magnificent work that he did to build this pass for us to still enjoy today. Okay, so for the next 37 kilometers, I don't expect the roads to be this good. They say 2 hours traveling time, so I think you will agree with me that to take 2 hours to take 37 kilometers can only sound like incredible adventure. Yeah, and the turnoff is here amongst beautiful, beautiful proteas. Just look at this. Yeah, Annelie will love this. Just look at it. course, the protea is the national flower of South Africa, and what a welcoming entrance to the Gamkaskloof road. But let's go. Yeah, so the warning is here that this is a dangerous road for the next 48 kilometers, because once you are down in the kloof, you can extend your riding quite a bit. And I will definitely explore this a bit today. But for this first part, it's relatively flat. You can see the road twisting there along this plain area. Yeah, so we are not yet in Gamkaskloof. Of course, Gamkaskloof is only reached once you go down the Eland Pass. Now, the Eland Pass is certainly what we're going to do in about 35 kilometers or so from now. And I will talk a bit more about it, but access to the Gamkaskloof was always an issue. I mean, this fertile valley was already discovered in the early 1800s, and by 1830 it was started to be settled by farmers, but it ultimately then resulted in quite an isolated existence. I mean, you can only walk, or donkeys or so, you can access the pass, I think, through the banks of the Gamka River and so on. So for many years, the people of the kloof petitioned for a road to be built, so that, yeah, just easier access and export of their produce and so on. But that took a long time. I mean, this road was only built in 1962 by a person named Fontaine. And the interesting thing about this road was that it also had unintended consequences for the people that settled in Gamkaskloof, because it actually resulted in people leaving and not staying, and the younger generation didn't want to stay and didn't return once they left. So in the end, all farming activity basically ceased there, and today there's only one family remaining, and that is where we will make a stop at Fonteinplaas. But yeah, I find this quite interesting, the isolation, but that we then also have the opportunity today at least to have a road in, to go and experience and look at what life was like since the 1830s, when people farmed this area. And of course, on the Honda CRF 300 Rally, this is the kind of road you want to ride. So yeah, it's going to remain bumpy. They said 2 hours, so I started around 8:30 this morning. So if it really takes 2 hours, I will only be there 10:30. Yeah, they're beautiful. Everywhere you look, you see the pink proteas. It will be difficult on the camera, but yo, they're just decorating this area. Now this takes quite a bit of concentration, because the road is changing all the time. You might find these good little stretches and then suddenly lots of loose stones. There are lots of stones that is broken off, tumbling down over the years. Your beautiful, beautiful yellow flowers, and then the pink proteas. It's like a garden. Yeah. Look at it. Yeah, but for now I'm still all on my own. I've got all this wonderful road for myself. It is a Sunday today, so I expect maybe some people to come out of the kloof, because there are some very nice accommodation opportunities there, also in the old houses of the farmers that farmed the area. So there might be a few people coming out of the kloof a little bit later. I'll just have to keep my eyes open. Yo. At least with the motorcycle you can pick the best of the two car tracks. Of course, Gamkaskloof is also referred to as Die Hel, or the Hell. Apparently this is not something that the locals like very much. They prefer Gamkaskloof, but I think this kloof is more well known to most people as Die Hel. Yeah. Yeah, you can see the road snaking, but I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but it passes over that top there. No, it twists and turns. So this is Koos se klip, so Koos se stone. Let's make a bit of a stop just to take a leg stretch. Still another 25 kilometers to get to the bottom of the kloof. Oh, it's so quiet here. But I thought, let me just talk a little bit more about the bike. I of course do my trips with my Honda CRF 300 Rally, and in previous series and many other trips I've spoken about modifications. And I just want to reflect a little bit more on the tires of the bike, because now today is the first real, let's call it tougher or rougher roads that I'm riding, and yeah, it's a test for the tires. At the back, of course, I've got the Dunlop D606, but what I have not mentioned yet is I have since also replaced the front tire. The MT21 in the front, the D606 at the back. Do you use this for your, let's call it more off-road riding? Now, of course, this is more a dual-purpose bike, and the tires is probably more for proper off-road, and I do ride a lot of stretches on tar. So they are a bit noisy, admittedly, and they will probably not last as long because of the tar road riding. But for me, I would like to be prepared for the dirt roads, and this is why I put them on. But yeah, I would love to hear your comments. Do you think this is a good combination? And yeah, I know a lot of you are talking about 50-50 tires, and this is maybe something I will consider for the future. But for now, I think I'm quite happy with the choice. Yeah, almost like climbing downstairs here at this stretch. Well, this is of course a very, very long cul-de-sac, so I will be returning a bit later today on this road. So yeah, I can enjoy it twice in one day. How good is that? But I'm loving this. This is really feeling like going into desolate areas, hidden areas. I already had two cars passing me now from the front, so I will have to keep my eyes open. Yeah, but just look how beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, there's another car coming from the front. So these stretches it's still okay, but I will see what it looks like at the Eland Pass. Yep, so you can be caught out a bit. Yeah, this is a particularly rough section here through the riverbed. But there's a number of these blind turns which makes it a bit difficult. Always nice to see where the road is going. I hope you can see it on the camera, but it is going up and then right up there at the back. So we will be crossing through that little neck area there at the top. I think this just shows why this valley is so isolated. There's no obvious just road in. You have to go over the tops basically of the mountains that surrounds the Gamkaskloof valley. Even the GPS is getting confused. It thought I made a U-turn. I think that should be the definition of an adventure road. When the GPS got so confused, the bends are so tight, it thinks you have made a turn. But no, you see, it's still a bit confused. No, this is certainly a consistent ascent now. The bike is heating up a bit. Of course, there's not much airflow and it's working hard. But I must say, this is one of the most exciting roads I have ridden so far. This is great. Yeah, but I think with a motorcycle it is just easier to ride it a bit quicker than with a car. But it's still, I've been riding now for an hour and 20 minutes since I made the turn, so it just shows it takes time. And yeah, continuous concentration. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so we are crossing this neck area now, and now we are probably starting to get closer. So it's still about 9 kilometers before we are at the bottom of the kloof. So that is the Gamkaskloof opening up there in front. I think we are now at the start of the Eland Pass. Now this, I would assume, must have been the most crucial part of the road that needed to be built in 1962 to get, well, connection to the Swartberg Pass. So yeah, as I mentioned, Fontaine was the person that built this road and then also this pass in 1962. What is significant about this pass is that it descends 477 meters in 4.7 kilometers. So that gives you an exact average gradient of 1 to 10. Let's just make a quick stop. So there in front. So there you can see we need to now descend basically 477 meters. And that is the start of the Gamkaskloof, and it runs all the way for quite a few kilometers down this valley. Yeah, so you can see this is an isolated place. I mean, it is just surrounded by mountains, and we are now entering it through still quite an inhospitable kind of environment. This is now freewheeling. And as I said, this afternoon I am returning, so then it will be a steep ascent. Yeah, but one can see a lot of twists in the road. Yeah, not too far to go. I can see the first house. We made it basically to the bottom of the Eland Pass now. Welcome to Gamkaskloof, Die Hel. So this is part of Cape Nature. So they've also bought up most of these properties that were previously farms. But yeah, even with this road in, it remains very much an isolated place because you need to, well, take that road to get here, and it is the only access. So if you don't have a proper, I think, clearance in your vehicle and so on, it might be a bit difficult. And also riding back up the Eland Pass is not so easy. But I must say, these burnt out trees do give it an eerie feeling. Because I think there's many ghosts walking around in this valley. It is basically a ghost valley after the farms have left. Just watch out. I see there's here and there's some sandy spots. Marais, Cordier and Andries Marais. So you can see the Marais and the Cordier names are quite prominent here. Ah, we made it here at the donkey. Is Fonteinplaas. Says there, Ouma Sunny's winkel and restaurant. So 1841. So you can see this 1830. Peter Swanepoel came, and 1841 Fonteinplaas was established. So yeah, let's make a stop for a break. Yeah, so I made a stop here at Fonteinplaas. It is so quiet and peaceful. I hope you can hear the birds a bit, but there's not even a breeze here. So I'm going to go and have a look inside and maybe get a cool drink or so. I'm feeling a bit hot now. It was quite a rough road down. But yeah, let's go and see what Fonteinplaas looks like. They do have self-catering houses here. So this is Hendrik Sahesi. And then they've got a campsite further down the valley, I think another 200 meters or so. But this is Ouma Sunny's winkel. Ah, what a friendly reception here from Marinette at Fonteinplaas. As she explained to me, they are part of the Mostert family. That was the traditional, or the first families that were born here and that were settled here. But they are now Joubert. So her husband is Peter Joubert. He's fifth generation on the farm, and one of only 2 farms apparently that's still privately owned here. The rest is all Cape Nature. But yeah, wonderful spot to come and relax, get a cool drink, and just experience the hospitality of this valley a bit. So I just got myself a Coca-Cola and getting a bit refreshed. Heat is picking up, but I will still walk around and show you a bit what the area here looks like. But yeah, the sense of isolation remains. So any direction you look, you will see some steep hills and mountains. I'm going to end this video here. Thank you very much for joining me on the ride from Prince Albert this morning. I think to me it was the perfect start to to the riding the big three. I hope you agree that the Swartberg Pass is something spectacular. We only did half of it. We only did the Prince Albert side, and I will in the next video go back to the Swartberg Pass. I have to exit this Gamkaskloof valley again. I hope you also enjoyed the rougher roads down the Eland Pass. That is certainly a significant pass to ride. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And then until the next video, which will, well, or the next trip, which will start very soon. I will be departing here from Fonteinplaas to explore this valley a bit more, and then to my next destination. So until next time, all the best and bye-bye.